Hello, it's September 18th, 2019, Board of Education regular meeting. Can I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Etter.
Here.
Mr. Naaman.
Here.
Mr. Suchaki.
Here.
Mr. Dobbins.
Here.
Mrs. Schuker.
Here, 5 present, 0 absent. On behalf of the board, I have to say at the time, it is 7 p.m. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome all students, staff, and interested community members to tonight's Board of Education meeting. The board values and encourages public comment on education issues. Anyone having an interest in actions of the board may participate during the public speaking section. There's a sign-in sheet on that orange ledge over there if you're interested. Please identify yourself on the board sign-in sheet. A copy of the board meeting is available for your review on our school district's website also. Please silence your cell phones during the meeting. At this time, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Naaman,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Dobbins. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to remove item 18B at this time and move it to after the CVCC All Boards dinner that we're going to have in October. So if we could move that to either November or December, please. It'll give us all a chance to go in and take a look at what's there and all that stuff.
Anything else discussion-wise? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Naaman.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki.
Aye.
Mrs. Schuker.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Are there any comments from the public? Anyone sign in? Okay, hearing none, we're going to continue on. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Evans for the recognition of many things.
And this is when the meetings start getting fun, when we start recognizing students, and we have much to be thankful for. We have much to celebrate here at Cuyahoga Heights Schools. And we're going to start off this evening with Mr. Coleman recognizing Students of the Month. Mr. Coleman, go over this. Did you already give him a? I did not. We're going to line you up here, and then after we've talked about all of you, we're going to walk you through and shake hands with all the board members, and then a little photography moment afterwards there. So, Carson, you have to get in the back. I don't want you out front for the picture, okay? Teasing you, Carson.
Yeah, good stuff. And so thanks for the opportunity to recognize these students. Yeah, our second board meeting of the month of September means lots of student recognitions. We're going to get started with the 6th through 12th grade students of the month. I'll recognize them first. Then Mrs. Pouchin will come up and recognize our elementary students of the month. That'll break things up a little bit. You won't have to hear me so much consecutively. And then I'll circle back, and we'll also be recognizing our AP scholars tonight. And again, as Mr. Evans mentioned, as we call you up, we'll talk about you, say nice things about you, try to embarrass you a little bit, shake your hand, and the certificate. We're going to have you slide on down as we call new students up, and then we'll be shaking hands with board members and getting a photo op. So again, without further ado, we're going to start off with our 6th grade student of the month, and that is Ella Hawk. Ella, come on. Congratulations, Ella. You do this, I'm going to have you stand right here if that's okay. Good stuff. So Ella is our 6th grade student of the month for the month of September. Ella comes to us from the village of Valley View. Mom is Sarah and Dad is Mike. She has 2 younger siblings, Mikey, who's in 4th grade at Cuyahoga Heights Elementary, and Lily, who is a 1st grader at Cuyahoga Heights Elementary School. I asked Ella what she wants to be when she grows up, and she said, "I'd like to focus on something medical. My mom is a nurse, my grandma is a nurse, so I am thinking about becoming a nurse." And I shared with Ella my wife was a nurse too. It's a good field to go in, so it's nice to help people. She also mentioned that her mother suggested she work with teeth. So she's thinking about becoming an orthodontist or a dentist. So she's working with all good stuff. She says her favorite subject is science because you get to do lots of great experiments, and eventually I'll get to go into chemistry, she said. Correct. I asked her about her favorite teacher. She mentioned 2. She said Mrs. Andreski who is her sixth grade science teacher, right? And Mr. Michaels. She says of Mrs. Andreski, she's really nice, she's a really good teacher. Of Mr. Michaels, his class is really fun, you learn a lot, plus I'm excited about the upcoming concerts that we will get to have and the parties that come along with those. It was in that order. Concerts came up first, parties came in second. Since it's September, we're just kind of coming back from summer. Kind of one of the themes I asked most of the kids this time around was a favorite summer memory and or a favorite memory to get started with the school year. She had a favorite summer memory, and this was a good one. She said, it's probably when I went to Destin, Florida with my family. We got to go to the beach, we had some friends come up with us, and I really enjoyed Crab Island. So I said, okay, I need to learn more about Crab Island. And she went on to state that essentially this consisted of the family renting pontoon boats. That took them out to an obstacle course, she described it as out in the ocean. It essentially consisted of large inflatables that the kids could climb on, slide off of, jump off of. So it's basically kind of a floating playground out in the ocean. She described it to be a lot of fun. She also mentioned she got to go snorkeling on that trip. So that was her favorite summer memory. But again, congratulations to Ella Mock, September 6th grade student. All right, next up, 7th grade student of the month. Alexis Santin. Yeah, Alexis warned me she had a conflict. There was a chance she wasn't going to come. I will embarrass Alexis in class later this week. Okay, our 8th grade student of the month. Best name of all the students of the month so far. I know that's all. Ricky Rock. Come Okay. And again, Ricky's our 8th grade September student of the month. Ricky is also from the village of Valley View. Mom is Kelly and Dad is Rick. He has 2 older siblings, both graduates of Cuyahoga Heights High School, Kayla and Ashley. Ashley is part of the class of 19, college now. I asked Ricky about future plans, and he shared that he wants to be a veterinarian. He likes the idea of helping animals. I asked Ricky about his favorite subject, and again mentioned 2. He said art and reading, which is an interesting combination. He said he liked art because art is a class where there's the freedom to just focus on drawing. That open feel a little bit. I asked him about reading, and he said, I really like that class because if I don't understand something, it's really easy to get help with it. Good stuff there. Favorite teacher, he said, nope, I like all of them. Cannot single any out, so that's a good thing. And then I pressed Ricky for a favorite summer memory, and he said going to the zoo a couple times with my family was the best thing I did this summer. I was able to get a lot of exercise. Couldn't do much Park Zoo. I did that around with my kids for a long time. We walk a lot of steps when we go to the Park Zoo. Everything's laid out quite a bit, so I'm glad Ricky was able to have an enjoyable time with the family and also log some steps. I asked him about a favorite animal, and he said wolves. He likes observing the wolves. Feels like they're close relatives to dogs, and likes kind of analyzing how similar those two are. So again, congratulations to Ricky Rock, our 8th grade September student of the month. 9th grade student of the month, David Collins. Is David here? David gave me a warning that he might not be here, so I will embarrass him. Our 10th grade student of the month is a young man by the name of Alex Hernandez. He withdrew from the district recently, so he's obviously not here, but we'll push his certificate that way, and I'll try to embarrass him remotely in some way. Maybe virtually, I can send him an email to say nice things about him. But our 11th grade student of the month is going to be April Hedrick. Come on up, April. Okay. All right, April, again, the theme of Valley View. Valley View is representing that, so great job, Valley View. April comes to us from the village of Valley View. Mom is Susan, and is Grandma here tonight? Okay, she mentioned Grandma Judy might be coming, and she also mentioned that Grandma Judy's a 3rd generation Red Skin. That's April's granddaughter, and so good stuff there. No siblings. I asked April about future plans, and she said right now she's thinking about joining the Navy. And if she likes it, she'll stay. If she doesn't, she will explore attending college. And if you explore the college route, she's big on Penn State University in Pennsylvania and would potentially major in paleontology. Kind of a diverse set of interests there. Asked her about her favorite subject. She said math. She said she likes math. He goes, quote, I'm pretty good at it. Yeah, I love your self-assuredness. Favorite teacher? No favorite teacher. She said this is the best school ever. They're all so good it would be impossible to choose. Good stuff. And then summer memory. April lit up when we talked about the summer memory. She thought for a little bit, but then got pretty excited. She talked about last Saturday attending the Luke Bryan concert that she attended with her mother. She said it was her first concert that she's ever attended. She attended that at Blossom Music Center. She says it was the best night of my life so far. I really enjoyed spending that time with my mom. Good stuff. Sweet. So again, congratulations. Good note to end on. April. All right. And Victoria Catler is our 12th grade student month and broke the chokehold that Valley View has. So Brooklyn, nothing to apologize for. I'm going to be a little brief, stand right there, Rich. I'm going to be a little brief there because we're going to circle back. She's also an AP scholar, so I'm going to swirl in there. We're going to call her up again in a second. Victoria comes to us from the village of Brooklyn Heights. Mom is Robin, dad is Dale. She has 2 younger siblings, Dustin, who's a sophomore, and Georgia, who is an 8th grader. I asked her about her favorite subject, and science is representing well tonight. She said science is science in general, any kind of science, she's down with science. Favorite teacher, oddly enough, her science teacher, Mr. Patterson. Of Mr. Patterson, she says, he doesn't just have us sit there. He gets us involved. It's a very hands-on course. He will not simply lecture. We are constantly engaging in hands-on work. And I asked her about a favorite memory so far for summer school year. She said, she mentioned school year. She said, generally speaking, right now she feels like we just had a great senior class, and it's been really fun seeing us come together and experience a positive opening of our senior year together. So good stuff there. Again, 12th grade student of the month, and more to come tonight from Victoria Catler. So congratulations. Come up and recognize our elementary students of the month.
Yep. Yeah, just slide down.
Scoop.
That's great, thank you. I have 2 wonderful students coming up tonight. They were nominated by their essentials teachers, that's art, music, PE. So I first would like to call up Doris Chen. Smile for the crowd. All right. Doris is 10. She's in 5th grade. She comes to us from Brooklyn Heights, where she lives with mom, Emily Zhao, and dad, Eric Chen. She also has a brother, Raymond, who's in 8th grade. When I asked her her favorite subject, she said, all of them. I like all of them. But I got her finally to say math. She enjoyed math. It's especially fun. When I asked her about her favorite essentials class, she said, all of them. Art, music, PE, library, technology, she said all of them. That might be why you were nominated tonight. All of your classes. When I asked her what she likes about Cuyahoga Heights Elementary School, she said everything. She is very easy to please. She likes everything about Cuyahoga Heights Elementary School. And then we talked a little bit about what she likes to do when she's not in school. She said play outside with friends, every sport she can, read. She likes to read everything, and she was reading a book when I came in tonight. She said extra schoolwork. And on the weekends, electronics. She's allowed to do electronics on the weekends. And sometimes just chill out. And I thought that was a great answer. When she grows up, she wants to be a lawyer. And she wanted to say to her family, I love you. Thank you for everything you've done for me. She says, Mom, I wish I could help you more because you do so much and you've taught me responsibility. So that was very nice of her to say to Mom. Her teachers have this to say about her. This is from Mr. Bertoloni, Mr. Huffman, and Mrs. Orlando. Doris is a terrific young lady who represents everything that makes CHES an excellent school. She is always respectful to her teachers, classmates, and school. Doris is always excited to learn something new, and her positive energy influences the others around her. Doris has a never-give-up attitude. If she doesn't get something on the first try, she keeps trying and doesn't quit. She is also very inquisitive and is not afraid to ask for help when it's needed. Congratulations, Doris. Keep doing all the things that make you a wonderful young lady and a CHES September student. Congratulations. All right, next we have Sean Strahan. Come on. There we go. Sean is also 10 and in 5th grade. We had a little discussion about who was older. I think we decided Doris was a little older. Okay. Sean comes to us from Garfield Heights, where he lives with mom Danielle. Dad is Andrew, brother Caden, who's in 2nd grade, and then I asked about pets. And he said, well, mom's an animal person. So, here it goes. 9 cats, 1 gerbil, 3 hermit crabs, and then he asked, does it count as a pet if you have an old dog who doesn't do anything? And I said, yes. So that is Roxy, who almost didn't count. And then 3 Kentucky Beagle puppies, Molly, Rocco, and Bruno. So we have quite the zoo going on there. He said that his favorite subject is science. He likes it because he can study animals and plants. And again, when I asked him about his favorite essential or special class, he said all of them. He likes all of them. Again, probably why you were nominated for this. I asked him what he likes about CHES, and he kept going. It was great. He said most of the people are kind. So he said most of them. The teachers are great. The secretaries are great. The recess equipment, thank you, Mr. Riccio. The rules of the school are great. And of course, the principal. Again, why you might have been nominated. He likes to play outside with his friends. He likes to do math and science contests with his brother, go swimming, play video games, football, wrestling, soccer, and another common theme, he loves to read. He said his favorite book series, The Boxcar Children, that the first one is the best, and his favorite author is R.L. Stine. When he grows up, he'd like to be a scientist, engineer, or police officer. And he wanted to say to his family, thank you for everything. Thank you for teaching me everything positive, like manners, and I love it. His teachers had this to say about Sean. Sean is the kind of student that makes teachers enjoy teaching. He enjoys learning and always does so with a big smile on his face. He participates with enthusiasm in all school activities and takes great pride in his work. Sean is always ready to lend a helping hand to a fellow classmate. His generous and caring personality is recognized and appreciated by both his peers and his teachers. Congratulations, Sean. Keep doing all the things that make you a super kid and a CHES September Student of the Month. Congratulations. Do you want to do AP also before pictures, or do you want to do?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's go big
We're
people
going
up
to
there.
shake their hands.
We're going to do the AP scholars.
There we go. Carson. Okay, so real quick. Okay, so just a quick word about our AP scholars. These students are the best of the best academically here. They are incredibly talented kids, intellectually, cognitively, they're incredibly bright. But not only that, they intentionally choose to take the most rigorous, challenging courses that we have to offer here. These are students that are taking college-level coursework beginning as early as their sophomore year. And these are students that are thriving in those courses, taking the end-of-course exams associated with these courses, AP tests, and doing very well. In order to qualify for this, they will have had to have taken 3 AP courses, taken 3 AP tests, and earn a proficient score of 3 or higher on all of those tests. So again, these students are really the best of the best there. And in addition to being very talented students, they're really, really good kids. So excited and honored to be able to recognize these folks. And so we're going to start off with Carson Horseman. So Carson, I tried to kind of aim the questions a little more around the senior stuff, and you're going to be going off to college, trying to probe them from where their heads are at with some of that, so trying to encounter these big decisions that life gets pretty fast here, pretty quick. So with Carson, I first asked him about colleges, again, kind of this statement. I started each interview off with the same thing. A year from now, you will not be in this school. Well, where will you be? What will be going on? So Carson said definitively, I'll be in college. I asked where. He said, I don't know, undecided. I have an idea, but I'm going to reveal it after football. So he's going to reveal it after football. However, he said definitively he will be majoring in biomedical engineering, and he wants to use that to focus on a career in rehabilitative medicine. Good stuff there. I asked each student about a course they were reluctant to take initially, but ultimately glad they took it in retrospect. And Carson said AP Chem. That AP Chem was a very hard class, but I'm happy I took it because it was so challenging. I learned a lot from the experience. Next question. Toughest AP test that you took? AP Chem. Yep.
See a pattern.
He said definitely AP Chem. Favorite AP class he took? AP Chem. So much so that he's actually sitting in that class this year and kind of quasi-taking it. He wants to take the exam again and is kind of taking it also, kind of serving as a little bit of an AP class. But he also wanted a lot of AP Lit in the conversation there. Of AP Lit, he said, it's really nice to be learning more about the different situations that literature can place you in. It really helps you think differently about the world. Good stuff there. I asked him about his biggest high school regret. He said, AP Chem. He actually did not hesitate, so don't have one. Next question. I asked each student again, what are they going to miss? We ended on this one. What are you going to miss most about Cuyahoga Heights High School? And Carson said, I will miss the people. All my friends, all my teachers, I will definitely miss the people there. So good stuff. Congratulations to Carson Horseman. There you are, sir. Awesome. Okay, next up, Victoria Gatler. Come on up, Victoria. So again, same line of questions, and so the conversation kind of went a little bit like this. Victoria said in terms of colleges, she has it narrowed down. Her number one choice is Westminster College, and when she goes there, she's likely to go there. She says she hopes to focus on either sociology or music therapy. Again, that question, a high school class that you were reluctant to take, but ultimately glad she took in retrospect. She mentioned her CAD class, computer-aided drafting. She said, I didn't think I would like it. I don't consider myself a super tech-savvy person, but I ended up learning a ton in that class. Her toughest AP test, she said, was AP US History. We've got a lot of AP US Histories in these conversations, and my daughter right now is taking AP US History and struggling through the 2.5 hours of homework she gets in after that. So, and of that, she said, it is a lot of material. And that's kind of thing with A-Push, right? No matter how smart you are, it's just a lot of material. So it demands a lot of time. She did say we were very grateful to have Dr. Roy, because without him, it would have been a lot worse. He made the course very rigorous, which made the test seem easy. Her favorite AP class, she said AP Biology. I really enjoy the material. It kind of clicks with me. I generally enjoy science and math courses. I asked her about her biggest high school regret, and Victoria said, I probably could have done a better job smelling the roses. As a senior, I feel like I'm getting better at balancing and staying on top of my schoolwork while also finding some time to enjoy a little bit of downtime. And then I asked her what she'll miss most, and she said it is such a close-knit community here. Everyone has your back, and when I leave here, I know I won't have the same support system when I'm off at college. Good stuff. Congratulations, Victoria. Next up, Jordan Stefanko. All right, so in terms of where Jordan will be a year from now, so we start these conversations off, he said his number one choice is the Ohio State University. In terms of a major, he's casting a wide net. So right now he's considering potentially a business major, potentially interested in a real estate career, while also considering a major in atmospheric science. So good stuff there. High school class he was reluctant to take, but ultimately glad. He said AP Euro. He said there was a lot of content. I did not want to take it initially. However, in retrospect, it really helped me in terms of developing my time management, developing good study skills, and pushing through a difficult course. That's one of the beauties of these AP courses for these students. Like, it's no matter how smart you are, it's difficult. And at some point, each one of these kids had to lean into some pretty serious rigor and lean into some discomfort. So really good stuff there. Favorite AP class, he says, right now it's AP Seminar, since he really likes how open the curriculum feels. There's a lot of different directions you can go in AP Seminar. Biggest high school regret, he says, I can procrastinate from time to time, but I'm getting a lot better at that now as a senior. And then I asked Jordan what he would miss most. He said, I would miss the student-teacher interaction. We had great teachers here. The small classes and just how inclusive the school is. I'll miss the people, and I know I'll miss all of my friends. Good stuff. Okay, congratulations, Jordan. next up, Abby Zendry. There you go, Abby. Congratulations. All right, and again, start off the conversation with where will you be a year from now? And she said, I want to go to a big school, preferably far away. So she's looking at SEC schools, and I noticed last spring she started wearing a Tennessee sweatshirt a lot. So I check in with Abby a lot on that. Is Tennessee still the front runner? Because I will say Tennessee was my number 2 school, and it was a great school. I traveled there a couple times with our track team. It was a lot of fun. So if she goes there, it's a beautiful area of the country and a great school. So right now, she said that is still the front runner. In terms of major, she's not fully decided yet, but she's thinking about one of 2 branches, either psychology or speech pathology. And Abby stated if she focuses on psychology, she knows she wants to focus on a career as a clinical psychologist. High school class she was reluctant to take, but ultimately glad she did. She said AP seminar. She said, I was initially hesitant because I really don't like writing essays. But I love the environment of the class, and I really enjoyed having Dr. Roy as a teacher. Her toughest AP test, she couldn't decide. She said it was a tie between AP Euro and AP Calc AD, toss-up. Her favorite AP class, she says, was AP Biology. I asked her what she liked about that course so much. She said 2 words, Mrs. Kropchak. So she's an awesome science teacher. She really appreciated having her. Biggest high school regret. Every time I asked a student about the biggest high school regret, they would kind of think and pause. Abby was instantly passed. Didn't even think of it, said passed. Okay, press that one. And then what will she miss most about Cuyahoga High School? And she said her soccer team, her soccer experience, specifically Coach Sawatsky. She said soccer's been a huge part of my life and a huge part of my high school career. And Mrs. Sawatsky's had a huge impact on my life. Good stuff. Abby, congratulations. All right, and then we have 2 students who are AP scholars with honors. So for these students, same criteria. They took at least 3 AP classes and earned at least 3 on all those AP exams, but had an average score of 3.25 or higher. Our first one is Katie Davis. Now, Katie was, again, one who warned me she might not be here. Is Katie present? No? Okay. Our second one is Katina Tritzarola. So AP scholars. Congratulations. All right. And, okay, a conversation went like this. Katina asked her about where she'll be a year from now, and she said, well, I'll definitely be attending college at this time next year. And she followed that up with, if I took a gap year, I'm not sure I'd be able to put it all back together. Good stuff. And she said she wants to pursue a degree in nursing, and she wants to kind of see where that takes her. In terms of where she might go, she said she definitely wants to stay close by. She wants to stay with her family, and is very likely considering CSU at this point. All right. I asked her about that again. That class you're reluctant to take, but ultimately you enjoyed it a lot. She said taking back-to-back AP classes with Dr. Roy, specifically that was APUSH, AP US History, and AP Psychology. That ultimately I did really well. After all, I'm an AP scholar now. So it certainly paid off. And now I'm actually considering either minoring or maybe a double major that might involve psychology. And she said I never would have considered that area of study without taking Dr. Roy's class. So Dr. Roy's made a mention of the class. She does an amazing job. We're lucky to have him. And a lot of kids obviously studying or experiencing this class. That's good stuff. Because one thing about Dr. Roy's classes, they're not easy. Yeah. Toughest AP test, she said, I thought my original answer was going to be APUSH, but thinking about it, I really think it was that the AP Euro test. It was really, really tough. Her favorite AP class, she says, AP Psychology. I asked her why. She said, I learned so much that I could apply to my everyday life. So I could go home, and you would say I could go home and Pavlov my dog. Biggest high school regret, again, really thought about this. She let it sink in for a little bit. She answered with none. I'll leave it at that. I'm leaving here with no regrets. Good stuff. And then what will you miss about Cuyahoga High School? And she said, her quote was, this might sound heartless, but I'll really miss the routine. I love the schedule here. Now that I'm a half-time student at CSU, it really reminds me how much I appreciate the routine of high school. Good stuff. Again, congratulations to all our AP scholars. We're going to ask everyone to come by. Board members will want want to shake your hands, and then we're going to line up on the steps and get some photo opportunities. So go right ahead, folks.
I'm going to let Mr.
Or-
Mucho
okay.
do that.
Okay. So you're up.
All right. So we have Neonet here, we have Lisa Nash and Kim Pesnat, and they're going to be presenting on the state software versus eFinance Plus, as well as the services offerings that Neonet provides.
Start with saying thank you for inviting us to do this presentation today. We are from Neonet. I'm the fiscal officer. Lisa is a senior level fiscal support person who has vast knowledge. We'd like to just kind of tell you what we do in case you don't know what Neonet does. We are your ITC, which is your Information Technology Center. We support all the technology that the schools in our membership have. For you guys here, we do have quite a few offerings. If you're interested in everything that Neonet does, if you went to our website at neonet.org and clicked on who we serve, and then there's a link that goes to a matrix that's interactive. So Lisa's going to click there, and then it'll show you all on the left all of our service offerings. We have quite a bit of choices of services. Mainly, we're internet, fiscal software, student software, EMIS reporting. We have technology integration, library services, virtual servers, remote backup service, along with wireless. There's an array, but for your district, you're using the fiscal support right now, and that's why we're here. We want to talk to you about the choices of the software that you're going to need to migrate to soon. And then we have student records, which is Progress Book Suite, which is Dazzle, and Progress Book, Parent Access, EMIS. And then you also have special ed software, which is where your teachers will do their IEPs for your special ed students. And then Library Automation Ohio is for your library services. That includes library software and also, I'm thinking Makerspace. So we have a Makerspace that's included in that too. I know that's what we were going roster verification, which is, I'm not really completely versed on that, but it has to do with your funding for your students, so it's important. Internet, we supply your internet service. We supply your filtering for your SIPA compliance for your student safety on the internet, and email archiving and remote backup service, which remote backup just backups all your servers every night so that you have a fail-safe. So that is all of your services. So we'll take it over as far as telling you about the different software packages that we're going to be offering for all of our districts.
Hello again.
Hello again.
So, as Matt said, we're here to talk about your potential financial package that you're going to be migrating or converting to. So one of the big questions Matt wanted us to answer is, why do you have to do this? So, the classic software, which is what you currently are using today, is going to be retiring. Some of the big reasons that it's retiring is the operating system itself, the company that runs it, is no longer going to be supporting it. So when you don't have somebody supporting it, how can you keep it up and running? The actual physical hardware that sits in our office, down in the basement, is called an alpha. The materials that, the hardware itself is so outdated that we can't even get new pieces. We're using refurbished, recycled pieces, and half the time, we're going through 7 or 8 of them because we can't find one that works. And the state has officially deemed as of December 31st, 2022, Classic will be turned off completely. So, what that means is between now and then, Cuyahoga Heights has to move to a new package. The state is offering 2 different packages. So I'm going to go through the benefits of both packages and then the cons that we came up with for both packages. Didn't list them all because we'd be here forever. Picked a few highlighted ones for you. Power School's eFinance Plus is one of the 2 packages. The package for this, it eliminates more of your third-party software, so your printing solution, potentially your strategic solution with your workflows and things like that, all of that's filled in. It's got a document management in it, so it can eliminate and reduce some costs at the district. Has a full HR package involved in it, so it not only will track their certifications, it'll send notifications of when those certifications are expiring. You can track your BCIs, your FBIs, a whole slew of things that it'll do for you. Education, degree levels, it's all in your HR package. And then it's a single sign-on. What I mean by that is when I log into eFinance Plus, I get the accounting role, I get the HR role, I get the inventory role, I get the ENIS role, all wrapped up into one.
I have a question. Can you when you have single sign-on though, is it role-based accesses, or actually do you assign those then?
Yes.
A single sign-on, do you get everything?
No, you would get what your access entitles you to. So if I was payroll and I did EMIS, I could have both of those roles.
Okay.
So you don't have to log into multiple systems is what I'm getting at to be able to do all of your job.
Okay, so you could still, when you log on to like the Cuyahoga Heights network, you would have to log on again. So it's like a 2-factor like authentication.
It currently is not 2-factor yet, but we're working on that.
Got it. Okay.
And we approve all the sign-ons through here funnel to Neonet. So in
Okay.
other words, if one person needs access to something new, then that's a sign-off by me and by Matt, and then we send it down to Neonet to allow that person to another part
Okay.
of what we're using down there.
Can I ask a silly question? Is this Power School eFinance Plus part of Neonet, or this is like another company?
It's a third-party company
Okay.
that is being supported in Ohio by the ITCs.
Okay.
So if Matt's staff needs help, they call us. They don't call Power School.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Does it like run on like a Windows operating system then, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's all web-based, and it's actually housed down in Columbus and backed up in Columbus.
So there's
We haven't been housed.
so it's physically, it's not in the cloud. It's basically it's a physical server that's sitting on that.
Yes.
Okay.
And then state software redesign. So the state has taken their classic version and they've been rebuilding it and come up with a version that is now web-based. So that is more of a migration of the data. So I'm taking it from one and dumping it in the other. Not really cleaning much of it up, just moving it from one to the other. Easier learning curve. Because they're used to classic, the state redesigned it. Very much similar terminology, similar processing, not much of an issue with learning of the software. And it is, of course, less expensive because it's being offered directly from the state.
Can I ask one other question about the log on? You said, just to clarify, so you get all these roles within all the different like accounts payable and payroll and everything else, but you can define the separate responsibilities, so there wouldn't be a segregation of duties problem inherent to the application, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I can control it down to the actual item they click on.
Oh, good, okay, got it. And do you help with the configuration of that then, too, as well, in setting up the roles that actually would
We already have
correspond?
predefined roles that we're trying to keep consistent among all the districts to where we've already separated those responsibilities out.
Okay, great.
And then the same accounting structure, so what Matt's team is used to being familiar with the state coding of the 26 characters, they get to keep that in the state software redesign.
If I could ask a question here, the software on the left, the Power School,
Yes.
are you saying that it doesn't have an easy migration of data and that it's obviously more expensive, I presume, and that it also doesn't have the same account structure, so that things have to be redefined at the account level? Thank you.
Okay.
So all of that.
And just so you know, we use Power School as our grade system here at Power. Let me know, she logs on to Power School to pull up the student grade. So we already have Power School in a lot of different places here. And we pull some data out of Power School and dump. So that's not completely foreign to us.
Okay.
And the other thing with eFinance Plus, as far as the conversion goes, it is a little more in-depth because of all the information that it holds. So it's more of a time-consuming process, but in the long run, if it's right for the district,
It gives you the opportunity to clean up the data you don't need anymore. Because I don't bring it all over, and that's why I was saying with the migration, it's just taking it from here and putting it here, and you just get everything you had before.
And just correct me if I'm wrong, the state software redesign, the state was still running off a DOS-based system, which is archaic. So what they did is they made their stuff be able to dump from that DOS-based system into this system. So I think what they're getting at is there's a lot of things that need to be cleaned up in the process, and the state software doesn't necessarily do that. It just kind of dumps it, and if you're going to clean it up, you're going to clean it up yourself on the new system.
What about the HR services?
It does not have an HR package at all.
So you'd have to have a separate
Currently
program
today.
for
There
that
is-
as well.
There are future plans for that, but I can't tell you what that future date range is.
at least past 2023.
Exactly.
So what are we doing for HR? I mean, how would this HR package help us, Matt?
Well, we're doing it internally, so we use the ability from state software that we can use, and everything else is just an internal process that we use for HR.
So
And it's in
how-
conjunction with the superintendent's office as
Are you
well.
using more like Excel spreadsheets to track everything and somebody has to follow that around to make sure that all the reminders go out and stuff like that?
We don't have an HR department. You know, our HR falls under the treasurer's department.
Yeah.
That's right.
But then, I'm just saying, if you got the one,
Yeah.
would you have to also buy a second package for HR, or no? If we just
No,
did.
we continue to do it the way that
Okay.
we're small, because we have things that are broken up too. Dr. Claris handles a large portion of the HR stuff as assistant superintendent, and so a lot of it's not even handled in Matt's office till it gets to we do the licensure, the certification outside of his office, and would continue to do that. If we went to that, we wouldn't say, okay, now because you have the software, we're going to dump this up into the treasurer's office. That'd be a headache for us, because we have we've got some good systems in place right now that, where we're tracking a lot of the stuff, so.
All right,
So obviously, the Power School Plus has to interface with the state systems because all of that
So I'm
stuff
glad
is
you brought that up.
preset.
One of the agreements in the agreement with Power School is that they are required to keep us state compliant.
Okay.
So they do have, like I mentioned, EMIS, they have a full package that they built just for Ohio within eFinance Plus that will keep us state compliant.
And how is that working?
We've had very, very few issues, and they're very easy to clean up, just like they are on the state software side, very easy to clean up when an issue comes back from the data collector.
The same thing, that we do EMIS in a number of different places. Kathy Dietzel handles a large portion of EMIS. Ulixa handles some payroll EMIS. Sandy's handled some employee EMIS. And the beauty of Power School is that it will dump directly into the EMIS system without any issues.
Yeah, it's just a simple data dump and put it in and report it to ODE.
EMIS is notorious for you get, and I love the term, you get fatal error messages back from them, and if you talk to any EMIS coordinator, they'll say, oh, it was a good run, we only got 25 fatal error messages. And to somebody who doesn't know that, but that's things to clean up, because sometimes the dump isn't clean, and things kind of get lost in the shuffle as it moves from one system to the other system, so that's very common in the EMIS world.
And they're easy to clean up in one system or the other.
Right.
So under the state software redesign, EMIS remains a separate system? Or is it I'm
Yes.
trying to follow this, and I'm
Yes.
having trouble.
It's currently a separate system now.
Right.
When it's not separate in the fact that it does do a live data pull of the staff and a live data pull of the financial information straight from the software.
Okay.
It's not a export import. It automatically does a live pull for us.
Okay, so that would stay the same, then
Yes.
EMIS does not change in the software
No.
redesign? Okay.
Nope, that would stay the same. Yes.
Are you able to talk a little bit about the account structures?
I'll get to that in a minute. Because they brought it up, I'll actually go into it. So then the cons of eFinance Plus that we decided on were obviously the cost. It is fairly pricey, And in this case, for your guy, that'll be on another screen actually later on. Conversion process. So like we said, the other one's a migration. Kim alluded to. This gives you the opportunity to clean up the data, get rid of the stuff you don't need to bring forward. Let's say in classic state software, Matt has a vendor from 20 years ago. We never encourage you to delete a vendor, but going forward in eFinance Plus, you don't do business with them, they don't exist anymore, let's not take it over, let's get rid of it. So it gives you the opportunity to do a ton of cleanup, which gives us the time to do that because it's a conversion. So we're pulling the data out for you, we give it to you, you review it, modify it if you need to, then I put it into the system for you. And then a con would be the different account structure. So,
I can talk about that
Go ahead,
a little
Laura.
bit as far as we've taken 7 districts live on eFinance Plus, and we've been dealing with a lot of treasurers who have been in the business for a while, and they are very familiar with state software, and they were hesitant at first, but it is very easy to learn once you're in the system, and it really, the learning curve isn't as big as they think it is.
And Matt and his staff has been down the Neonet to see the presentation. Kim and the crew have put on presentations for us along with some other districts. Matt started looking at this a while ago, so I think that, not to get confused, that Matt's pretty well into looking at the couple softwares. I was there for a little bit. It might as well have been in Latin for me, so I went to another meeting. So our crew was down there last year and really kind of getting a feel for it and just what, Elix and the HR and Kathy and the accounts payable, accounts receivable, and Matt and the overall structure of it, so.
okay, so Matt wanted me to show you guys what the account code would look like in eFinance Plus. So what happens is we try to remove as many of the zeros as we possibly can to get down to 16 digits. The full number gets reported to the state, so that does exist in the system, you just don't get to see it. So that section that's labeled reporting structure, right there, the first one down is your fund special cost center, so that's your cash account right now as it would be named in state software. Below that is the function, the subject, the operational unit, instructional, and then job. The last one labeled budget unit is what Matt's staff would see in the system. So because I know my districts, I set this up with my districts without even looking at the report structure. I could have told you what that number meant, okay? So what we try to do is work with them all in the general account because that's the one that usually changes the most among districts. The non-general funds usually stay the same and the revenues stay the same among all of our districts. So at Cloverleaf, their key organization or budget unit, which are the same number, the very first one is the fund special cost center. Because the only thing in there is a 1 and a bunch of zeros. So I got rid of all the zeros. Then I have 1120, which is the function. And then the subject was kept. Then they put in their OPU of 060. And then they ended it. The last 2 zeros are the instructional level. Because there are times on the general level where you have to record the instructional level of the district, of the students or the class or the account code in which you need to apply the money towards. So like I said, we work with the district, define what works best for their accounting structure, their number sequence, and out of every one of our districts, not a single one in the general fund is the same. So I've had to work with all of them to make it work for their numbering structure.
So is there a uniform, for lack of a better word, is there a uniform data dictionary from which you and others are working on so that there's a commonality among trainers and outcomes?
So what happened was when we did the first round of training, we did it with Power School. And they came in, they taught us the software, they taught us how to do the conversions and all that stuff. So now all the ITCs in Ohio who learned from Power School are doing it themselves. So yes, we learned from Power School on how to do these conversions. Now, I can say we tweaked it to fit our schools, just as every other ITC is tweaked to fit their schools.
Is the difference literally trainer by trainer, so that if someone from another ITC were to do training here, that their assessment or their analysis might lead to different outcomes, account coding and account definitions and things, or no?
Specifically on the account structure, yes, that could be different from trainer to trainer. But the rest of the system, because it's very specific on what goes in each thing, no, those are probably pretty common across the ITCs.
The difference more likely would be from school to school, because schools are more likely to, let's say something's equipment repair, to classify something as equipment repair that maybe another district doesn't classify that as equipment repair. And so you're going to get more of a difference from school to school than you are ITC to ITC. And just with the difference in treasurers through the years, I've seen it with our account codes that some years this was counted in here, and all of a sudden there's no money coming out of that account for 3 years, and all of a sudden it's back. Well, it was over here because based on its description, it could have fit into this one or that one, and the different treasurers looked at it differently. So there's probably more movement within the district than within the ITC itself.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions on the account structure?
Matt, have you had a chance to go through the the e-Finance Plus system, and have you eyeballed it next to the state one yet? Or is it, I understand it's preliminary.
Yeah, from their presentation, I've been able to, I haven't played around with it,
Okay.
aside from that.
Oh, there it is. So you were asking about similarities between the two softwares. We've taken the liberty between all the ITCs to come up with a crosswalk of the reports themselves. Because one of the first things we went through with the first round was, I have to have my bud lead. Where's my bud lead? Well, we found where it is in the system and mapped it to what it is called in their system. So a lot of those reports all do exist. We have a complete crosswalk of 4 pages here between the accounting and payroll software. So we have done a lot of that work ahead of time. And when we do our trainings, we try to say, okay, this is like this in classic, what you're used to. This is what it's called here, just to try and make a connection between the two softwares as we do our trainings.
Is it Cloverleaf using e-Finance Plus? Who else is rolling out this year? Cleveland Heights?
Nordonia, Summit County ESC, Summit Academies, and us.
Okay.
And we're working on Shaker Heights right now.
Is the reports that come out of the system, are they standardized, or can you produce ad hoc reports out of the system?
You can produce ad hoc reports.
Okay.
It's
Or
actu-
is there like, and I guess the question is there an ability to like put parameters in there to like, if you're doing like an account analysis, that you can like focus on one specific fund or one specific account, and you can, okay, great.
Yep, you can do all that in
And
here.
there's a report record that's included in it that you can view.
That-
The bust is
Okay.
one. If you have the ability, you can do quite a bit.
And then is that just using like regular like SQL to write the code then?
It uses Cognos.
Cognos, okay.
It's called Cognos, but
Yep.
you can do a little bit of SQL writing in it, yes.
Okay, got it.
So about how many people have chosen which route?
In the state of Ohio,
Or either that or for you, whichever one you have off the top of your head?
We have, 7 or 8 on eFinance Plus. We have 2 on Redesign, 2 in the, one on
One on
Redesign,
Redesign.
2 in process of Redesign, and we have 38 more to go.
and then across the state of Ohio, I can tell you in eFinance Plus, there's roughly about 80 districts across the state of Ohio that have gone to eFinance Plus.
And how many have gone to the,
I think it's in our PowerPoint, I think it's 123 that are slowly working their way to Redesign right now.
I think they said at the presentation we were at last week, there was 800 schools that needed this change.
In Ohio, yeah.
Ohio.
yeah,
Before December 31st of 2023, or 2022. So currently in Redesign, there is no accounts receivable module. They're predicting they'll have it done by 2020. So I don't know if you guys use accounts receivable up here at all, but if you do, that wouldn't be available to you until then. The equipment inventory system, which I do know you guys use, will not be available until 2021. And as we mentioned earlier, there is no human resource software in this. In the Redesign software, when you first log in, the dashboard you're going to see is a list of reports, and those reports are the ones the state has predefined and written that automatically come with every district regardless. So just like eFinance Plus has its predefined reports, the state has its predefined reports. The option there that says show only favorites right above the list of reports, each user does have the ability to identify their favorite reports, and then they could have those showing when they first log in instead of the state's list of reports. That's about all you can do on that dashboard. It's the same in the accounting versus payroll. In eFinance Plus, you can do just about whatever you want in this dashboard. So I have 4 tabs on my dashboard. On my first tab, I have an activities panel and a notifications panel. The difference between the two is one tells me things I need to go approve, whether it's a leave request or a rec. Yes, thank you. And then the other one's just more things that you need to know that are due for you to take care of. If I wanted to go to my payroll processing tab, I can put 3 different windows in there, 4 different windows. In this case, I designed them as like checklist processing for me. So in the first box, I have what do I need to do before I start my payroll, and I have a list of things to go through there. And then by clicking on it, it takes me to those locations in the software. The box to the right is running the payroll, the steps I need to take in order to finish the payroll. Then the box in the bottom is what I need to do to close my quarter every 4 quarters, all the steps I need to take and all the reports I need to run. Completely customizable per user. Someone could put something completely different there. On my accounting tab, again, I did a couple different report listings. One, if I was the AP person, the steps I take in writing the invoice, the check, and so on down the line. Down on the bottom, Matt could have one that says, these are the steps I need to take to close my month. And then the grid on the far bottom right allows Matt to see at an instant where his budget's sitting with the numbers. Is he in the red? Is he in the good medium zone? Or is he positive in the green? Pretty good there. So I faked it up with some money in this one.
We just got some, we use Frontline for a lot of our tenant stuff, and something just came out that they're expanding their HR feature where they can do like a login in time. Will that Frontline tie right with eFinance Plus? Will that tie into it, or?
It will not be a direct interface. It will be an export-import.
Okay.
Would the HR package in this replace Frontline?
Yes.
Could it
Yes.
replace Frontline?
Yes, in addition to some additional products that PowerSchool offers called Unified Talent.
So this will have an attendance feature to it?
It does.
Okay. 'Cause we use Frontline primarily for our staff attendance. That's
Right. So, I
the
mean,
bulk of it right now, yeah.
one way to unify and offset some of the cost. Eliminate one package, put the two together. Potentially. We could eliminate Frontline, eliminate the cost of Frontline, and use ePower Plus if we chose to go that way, is what I'm trying to.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Oh, cost comparison. Favorite conversation. There's the price tag for eFinance Plus, $22,463 for your conversion. And the licensing would be $5.21 per student for your ADM on an ongoing yearly basis. And then on the redesign side, they're going to charge a 50-cent ADM on that side. Just to be clear, that does say redesign, but that doesn't mean it's not going to start happening before he gets to redesign, because they're talking this year. Okay, so this year they've started charging 50-cent ADM across the board, regardless if you're on plastic or redesign. And then you were asking about the state of Ohio. This is the adoption that's happened across the state of Ohio on the state software redesign. All the ones that are in red are ones that are currently live and running the software in the list of names, and then the ones in black are the ones that are working on that. And as you can see under Neonet, which is right here, we only have 3. 1 red, 2 black, so we got 2 working on it.
And 34 more in the queue somewhere.
So busy month, you're there though. So 123 districts totally live, 68 districts right now live on redesign. 14 of them have participating ITC, or 14 ITCs are on it.
Out of 18.
Out of 18. There's 2 that I think are on eFinance Plus. The other ones haven't done anything.
What would be your recommendation to a district, given that, what is it, December 22 deadline? Obviously not wait till December 22.
No. As to what software or as to when to go?
When to go, given, that it becomes a tighter resource constraint as one gets closer to December 22.
So something I've recently adopted in saying when everybody keeps telling me they want to be last, that's fine. Just know you're not going to get the individualized one-on-one attention.
So you're right, when the resources get to be constricting and at the end there, maybe not as much one-on-one as you would get if you were an earlier adopter.
You have 30-some trying to flop over at
Of
the same
course.
time versus the,
Right. Okay.
And Parma says they're going to be last, so.
they will be.
But actually, he wants to go.
They will be. I know, Charlie, they will be.
If you were to choose eFinance Plus, I would encourage you to start sooner rather than later, just because it does take a longer time to go through the process. We build out in a 6 to 9 month time frame to go through the whole process, so that gives you the cleanup time, the loading, the training, and making sure everything syncs right back up with what you're processing in state software. If you were to go redesign, 3 to 6 months tops.
Now, our district is contemplating doing some major improvements and renovations within our premises. Does that in any way impact the conversation about when to flip operating systems or financial systems? Okay.
I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
Can I ask, kind of along those lines, is there a better time of the year? I don't know if this is a question for you or maybe for Mr. Muccio, but is there a better time of the year to start this?
So for eFinance Plus, for me, I more look at when do you want to be live, and then I back the
Back it
timeline
up.
up. And I'm going to tell you, my 2 favorite times right now are April and October.
Okay.
Here's why. What are you doing in July? You're closing the fiscal year. What are you doing in December? You're closing the calendar year. We have to go on a quarter. I've done a few now in April, and those seem to go really smooth. I have not done one yet for October, but I can't imagine it would be any worse than what I've got going in April. So I do know that when I do them in July or I've done them in December, it's been kind of hectic.
Okay.
Because of what they're trying to do in their office
Right.
and what I need to get done for them so they can move forward.
Well, there's definitely a lot of pieces, it sounds like, no matter what we do, that it's going to take training, more
Right.
so with the e-finance, but,
Right, and then as far as the redesign side goes, they typically are starting in the July, Januaries, and then live by June if you started in January, and live by November if you started in July.
thank you.
Another thing that we haven't talked about is audits, the auditors. So since eFinance Plus was pretty new in the last few years, the auditors have been working very hard to get proficient in auditing EFP. We've been helping them figure out which reports to run and which, how to get access to what they need. So that shouldn't be a consideration for anybody at this point, because Redesign is pretty easy for them to figure out because it's still kind of familiar for them, but they are also doing a very good job with eFinance Plus.
Of all the districts that have we talked to with eFinance Plus, they've not had a single problem with any of their audits. So they've all been very pleased with the way they've gone. They give the auditors exactly what they're asking for, and their auditors are completely happy. One thing Power School did do is they did sit down with the state auditors and walk them through the system. So they have had direct training from Power School, but they still ask questions when they come into the district. Enhancements based on the classic software is now window-based. You have more query grid format versus fields. Dynamic reporting capabilities, so you can dump things more easily into Excel with this redesigned version. eFinance Plus, just about every report you can run, you can either dump it straight to a PDF or dump it straight into an Excel. Almost every one of them gives you that option. The ability to view an employee's information all on one screen is also available in the classic redesigned software. And then ability to easily more upload your budgets than what you used to be able to do. Again, it's the migration with the classic to redesign. I'm just basically doing a data dump and putting it in there. Not much to say about that. Same account structure again, and then maintain all your history.
One of the perks with redesign too, as far as like Lisa said, we like to go on a quarter with eFinance Plus. That's not necessarily the case with redesign. The only constriction is
You
not
can't
to
be in the middle of the payroll.
So
So I could go in the middle of the month if I wanted to. You just can't be in the middle of the payroll. I actually tried to do it the other day and he yelled at me.
So when our districts come to us and say, you know, what do you advise us to do? You know, at first they thought we cared and we wanted everybody to go on eFinance Plus, but that's not true. We want our districts to go on whatever makes sense for them and what they do in their district or the size of the district. And we've said, you know, if you're not high on human resources and your student count is below 3,500 or 3,000, then redesign is a no-brainer. That's, you know, it's easier, and if your office is small. If you want to have HR capabilities and you want to have more modules that you can interface with your system, and you have some extra, you know, you have a staff that you feel would be open to the more technology and just more, it is a lot of hard work to do that conversion. Then we say eFinance Plus is a good option. We think both of them are sufficient for district. I mean, I'm partial to eFinance Plus because that's what I use at Neonet, but the districts who have gone redesign love it too, so.
The one district we do have on redesign is a treasurer that's at 2 districts, and he is probably my favorite person and the craziest person I know. His first district is Cloverleaf. Guess what they're on? eFinance Plus. His second district is New London. Guess what they're on? Redesign.
Wow.
So he has probably been one of our most advocates to telling the district how he looks at both systems and things like that, so.
Which one does he prefer?
Actually, he was.
It
Exactly.
depends on
where
the
he's at,
district.
because-
That makes sense.
And he made the decisions he did based on the size of the district and the staff he had.
Who is the treasurer down in Cloverleaf?
Jim Hudson,
Okay. I was down in Madonna for a while.
he'll love me for telling him. He gives my name away all the time.
Cloverleaf is probably our district who uses eFinance Plus with
Very
most.
robustly, very.
But they have the staff that's like, they're really into it and they are using it every way they can, they're writing reports. And then his New London staff is 3 people, including himself, so, and one of them's part-time.
And she's
So-
doing payroll at another district who's going through the redesign process.
New London's about our size,
Yeah.
student-wise.
The other thing with eFinance Plus is twice a year, the state, so us ITC people, put together a user group training where we invite all of the eFinance Plus users to a centralized location, and we do a full day worth of presentations and, hey, did you know you could do this kind of stuff? We also offer a full day training on the report writing system Cognos, which she mentioned earlier too. So everybody in the state is getting the same opportunities, the same training from all the ITCs. And it's actually made us ITCs work much closer together because of being able to support one another through the eFinance Plus process. And I'd say it's working that way now on the redesign side as well.
Lisa, when you say ITC, what does that stand for?
Info Technology Center. Funky on that one.
There are 18 of those in Ohio, so.
I mentioned that it was a grid format. This is what the grid format looks like. So if I go to cash up here, So if Matt knows he's looking for something that starts with 92 in the special cost center, it'll start filtering and then narrow it down to just all of the accounts that start with 92. So it's, I guess my best way to describe it, it's Excel on steroids.
This is the state software?
That's state redesign.
A redesign.
Yeah. So the grid format that they keep talking about, this is what it looks like, and like I said, it's kind of like Excel on steroids.
Can we put you on the spot, Mr. Muccio, and say,
Sure.
Are you leaning more heavily towards one side? Are you in the middle?
Yeah, like Mr. Evans said, we had gone down, the whole team, so Dr. Claris, Mr. Evans, myself, both, people in the treasurer's office, who else go? It was us and Wadsworth, or excuse me, it was us, Barberton. I think it was just us and Barberton.
Just you guys in Barberton that time.
So we went down, we already had a full demonstration on both softwares, and then Neonet also put on a whole, district-wide. I watched that online too. There are pluses and minuses of both. Cost, account structure, I'm partial to. I know you guys are going to put me on.
All right, let me just throw it out there. Karen from Nordonia, probably the one person I would have said also that never would have gone to eFinance Plus if I had laid it in front of her and told her that was her best option. She came to us and wanted to do it because that's what her staff wanted. I'll tell you, she picked that new account structure up like that. She knew it better than I did before she even went live. Same thing with retired treasurer Deanna Levenger. She told us, I'm never doing it, never doing it. She was an interim treasurer at a district that had it. Guess what? She picked it up just like that. Sorry, Matt.
No, it's more than okay. We, staff in the treasurer's office, you look on payroll, for example, she, came in, she didn't have school finance experience. She was taught on the current software that we have, which is the state software, payroll, so she knows that inside and out. Carrying over into the redesign, there's not going to be too much of a learning curve for payroll for that. With eFinance Plus, you're learning a whole new structure, software for payroll too. So it's training somebody on an additional aspect of it.
After we just paid for the last 8 months to have the training,
Right.
it's kind of like,
Just because you choose one doesn't mean you can't hop to another. I mean, have you seen schools that have transferred from one to the other?
Not yet.
But
kind of new though still, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
Isn't it kind of new for people to be hopping? I mean, they're just learning.
And skipping and jumping.
Everybody's pulling the waiting card.
10%, 15% of
Right,
those at all.
right.
There's really not that big of a there's no big districts on this yet.
Okay.
So we don't know what it's going to do when Parma goes on it. We don't know what it's going to do when Orange goes on it.
We're doing Orange starting in
January. So we'll know more next July, but should Matt wait that long?
What is Orange opting for? Or you're not sure yet?
Redesign.
Oh, redesign, okay.
what's Chroma going for?
Redesign.
We are starting it then.
I'm telling him he's a fool for doing it, but he's too big for redesign in my opinion.
To me, the redesign is like a no-brainer. I don't do, I'm not in your department, Matt, but I mean, like, the pros and cons aren't even close
And
for
like
us.
Kim said, the size of your district, you guys are like right on that bubble, which way should you go?
No, we're
We're not
800. We're
really.
not even near the bubble. We're a third of the bubble.
That was looked earlier.
You said-
It was earlier, I looked.
Yeah, you said 3,000 plus,
So
and
I was
we're under 1,000, so.
5.5. So, yeah, I mean, in this case, it makes more sense to go that way.
Lisa, why would you say Parma should not go to the?
They have an external HR package right now that they're paying for. By going eFinance Plus, they can eliminate that cost because then it gets picked up within eFinance Plus.
Right, and again, I'm maybe talking about larger schools. Why would larger schools not want to go to the state software?
We don't know how it's gonna perform.
Gotcha.
Meaning what? Like, it might shut down? Oh, slow.
I don't
Okay.
know if you noticed it, when I click on these things,
It doesn't surprise me with the
there's a
state.
bar that goes across the top, and it gets close to the end, and then it drags itself out.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, it's taken a long time for them to get this developed. It's been like 20 years.
What's it bringing up?
You know, they keep
Is it?
taking less money, or giving less money to the state's software development team, so it has taken a long time. That is why they were putting that 50 cent
per ABM fee for whether it's classic or redesign, so that they can get some more people in there to do some more developing and some more support.
Is the slowness caused by the application or the database? And
The state.
We're not exactly sure. What they told me last week in a training that I was sitting in, down at the state level, particularly with the screen that I'm on right now, it has a lot to do with the volume of accounts.
Okay, yeah,
So, because I'm in
it's
the accounts.
database.
Right.
Okay. It's on the database side then, okay.
Yeah.
So like in the server, that's actually, in Columbus server, then all the districts are on one server then, so, or they're not?
Well,
Has all the data there, so like as we get, as the data
Neonet
increments,
is hosting at the management council like we do with eFinance Plus or Progress Book or whatever. All the other ITCs currently are hosting themselves.
okay,
We decided to do the Columbus route because it frees up our servers, plus, it makes sense to us. And it's, backed up, and
yeah,
so
okay.
it's hard to say what the other or ITCs are experiencing.
Because I'm just wondering if the server itself, if it gets, the database gets more and more data, is it going to get slower and slower then, as districts get on?
It could, we don't know.
Okay,
I mean, right now, the New London, when I brought them over, they took in 9 years of history with
Okay.
them. So, I mean, and that's just about what every district's going to get, is anywhere from 7 to 9 years of history, unless Matt says, you know what, I don't need 2009, 2010, 2011, get rid of them.
okay,
Then I can get rid of them and bring less.
okay.
But right now, I'm not planning to take any of that data away from the districts unless they specifically say, get rid of it. I don't want it.
Okay,
eFinance Plus is not bringing history, by the way.
Yeah,
Okay.
no history that comes.
okay.
Did you say that some of the ITCs host
Anything you
the
want,
software
you have to
directly
key
as
in.
opposed to mainframing it? I'll use that term.
On the
in
redesign
Columbus.
side, yes.
Yeah, so is there an instance where Neonet would consider buying or acquiring servers to host the system itself?
Right now, we're taking advantage of hosting at the management council because to us it makes sense. And we are the only ITC that's doing that. I think others should be doing it, but I'm not really sure down the line because I'm not our tech person. So.
Yeah. And from a tech standpoint, I mean, right now, I don't have enough districts on it to make it an issue for me to be able to go into the back end and want to do something yet. But that may change down the line, I don't know.
What I'm getting to is, let's say you get out to November of '22, and there's a huge number of districts that are with Neonet that choose this redesign, and there's a system operational issue, a lag, like what we're seeing tonight, that could be alleviated if you were to host directly. I'm just hypothesizing, but I'm wondering if that's something to consider.
Our tech director or assistant director would be watching that.
Okay.
Making sure that doesn't happen, and that if it were to start happening, we would make sure that we alleviated it.
I know when New London first went on it, we kind of noticed a little bit of slowness with them, and so we contacted them, so we said, and they figured it out and got it running at a more reasonable speed.
Well, thank you.
Where is the current software hosted from?
Neonet.
You're running the current.
On that really old thing called the Alpha.
Okay, so you're actually hosting it
Yes.
locally? Okay,
It is backed up in 2 locations currently.
okay.
Is there controls in the system that doesn't allow you to post the prior periods and those things like that, so that you can reopen up a past year and then post other items?
Past years, no.
Okay.
Past period, yes. You
Okay.
can reopen in both softwares.
Is there a change control log then, that you can actually see all the changes that were made to those prior
Yes,
periods?
in audit reports.
Okay,
Yep, and some of them we have to ask for the back-end SQL log of it, but we can get it.
okay, got it. So that would, it's available then, if you can run an SQL that goes back against the database and pulls down all the changes then?
And
So
in
whatever.
both softwares, we limit that to either just the treasurer or the assistant treasurer to do those capabilities.
Okay. Is there anyone at like, where the server in the database is sitting that has access to the data? Like, is there administrators that would have access to the data that could change it at that level?
No,
Okay.
because as soon as I get the database from them, I change the admin password to what we want it to be.
Okay.
And we do have a SOC 1 audit every year.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, every year,
Perfect.
and it's on our website. We just finished this year's. We post it each year, and we've never had any kind of issue.
Okay, that's great. That's really good
They
news.
look
That's what I want.
at, like Tom was saying, when they send the authorization form for so-and-so to have rights to payroll, they will randomly ask for, like a sample of, do you have these forms on file?
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I give them a complete dump of all the users of the system. They go and pick 10 or 12 of them, send me the list, and I can find
Okay.
every user form associated with that person.
Along with anything that we have done, like if we have gone into their system and made data changes, us not
Yeah.
having you, they will want to see a help desk ticket that asked us to do that.
Oh, good, okay. And the stock reports are all clean?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
beautiful. That's beautiful.
And another couple things to add too. $5 per student as a licensing fee per year, that adds up. So if you have
Yeah.
a large district with four.
About $8,500 per year for us.
It is based on how many students, so like the bigger schools are more like $3 a student or whatever, but.
Gotcha.
Higher for us.
eFinance Plus 2 as a school software package, how long, aren't they just designing eFinance Plus for schools recently, or has that been around for a long time?
It's actually been around for a long time. It used to be called Renovation, and then that was bought out by SunGard, and then SunGard was bought out by Power School. So it's been around for quite a long time.
In Ohio?
There have been schools running, Mentor used to run Renovation, they ran SunGard, and now they're running Power School on the accounting side.
And we use SCView, which I think everybody really likes that for requisitions. We really wouldn't need SCView because eFinance Plus does do what that already does. But
Yes.
we've already built up, have been using SCView for, Kathy did a great job kind of setting that up on the front end, spending a great amount of time. So just some, factors that go, and the state software, that's been around since the 50s.
Almost 70s.
With each choice, the best thing I think is being able to hire people in your treasurer's office. No matter which choice you go to, at least you can get some of the people who are younger and actually want to use their mouse. We've hired quite a few people at Internet to support the software over the years, and when we sit a younger person down and say, you're going to stop, they're like, where can I use my mouse? No, use your mouse, and it's really a hard learning curve, but with either of these two, that being Windows-based, your pool of people to be able to hire becomes higher. That old system, I don't know if you've ever seen it, it's very archaic. It's like a blue screen and you're typing in commands. It's not.
And just to kind of give you a kind of learning curve we're talking about, on the eFinance Plus side, Cloverleaf, when I went in July of 2017, within 4 months, they were hiring a payroll person, and we had her up and running by December. So it's a much, there's still things in payroll she learns today, because you don't learn those things until that time of the year, but she was able to process payrolls before the year was over. So it's a much shorter learning curve, regardless of which one you're going to do.
Any other questions?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is a big decision.
I feel much better
for all of
after
our
this
districts.
presentation.
Now, is Neonet looking for, commitments on when they are, deciding?
Yes, well,
How far in
I'm going to be
advance would
sending
you-
out a survey monkey to all of our treasurers either this week or next week, just asking for everyone to pick a quarter. We're not going to hold you to it completely, but we really need to get an idea of who's going to go which software and when, because we would hate to have all of our big ones in one quarter. We'd like to kind of mix them with small and large. Some of our treasurers are more willing to go sooner rather than later. Some are ready to retire and they're like, oh, I don't want to deal with it at all. So we're going to be looking for that commitment by the end of the month. Like I said, you're not going to be all to it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
you. All right, moving on. Mr. Muccio, Treasurer's Business.
All right. Couple recommendations tonight. First recommendation, 5A, motion to approve the minutes of the August 21st, 2019 regular meeting and the September 4th, 2019 regular meeting as found in attachment T1. Next recommendation, 6A, motion to accept the bank reconciliation financial reports and payments for board review as of August 31st, 2019, as prepared and certified by the treasurer as accurate, as found in attachment T2. Next recommendation, 6B, motion to approve new vendors to the school district for W-9s attached, as found in attachment T3. Next recommendation, 6C, motion to accept the attached lists of donations received through August 31st, 2019, as found in attachment T4. 6D, motion to approve a modification to the permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2020, as found in attachment T5. 6E, motion to approve fund-to-fund transfers. Operational transfers out represents monies moved from and to another fund permanently. 6F, motion to establish the Student Wellness and Success Fund, number 467.
Okay, hearing the treasurer's business, can I have a motion to approve treasurer's business consent agenda motions?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dobbins.
Second.
Second by Mr. Suchaki. Discussion.
Yeah, just I'll run down a couple of these through. Everybody should have 4 reports printed out. Instead of going through kind of all the reports, I wanted to go through the lead sheet and then pick 2 to accompany it and just go on from there. So we have in front of us our lead sheet for the month of August. We can still see our beginning balance from July in blue at the top left-hand corner. We can see our ending balance, bottom right-hand corner, column N, row 31. So we started the year in blue at the very top left-hand corner with 13.8 million. Where it's looking at now, we're at 12.6. So our revenues in orange total up to 15.6, and our expenses in yellow total up to 16.8. So we are in a deficit this year, which we knew according to the 5-year forecast. So it's a little more than $1 million at this point. Now we are putting on, this agenda paying off in full the HB 264 debt that we have. So that's also accounting for the additional expenses that we have. But we are at that point where we crossed that break even threshold where our expenses are now outpacing our revenues for what we have. Now, our revenues are conservatively estimated, and I'll talk about that on the next sheet, but just wanted to point out where we're at and as we go forward. The next sheet we have would be our taxes as of August 31st, 2019. In the blue, we can see what came in the month of August. It totals to $1,209,112 on row food. In pink, we can see what came in for public utility personal property taxes, almost $1.3 million. Where we're at now is we're trending more favorably than where the conservative estimate is, both in blue and pink. Our estimate in blue for row 1, class 1 and 2 real property taxes is $8.6 million. In orange to the very far right. At this point, it appears we're outperforming that, which is good. We do know the tax collection rate for tax year 2018, that's in the bottom right-hand corner in that box. We're at 96.7%. Last tax year was 95.6, if I remember right. So we do have a higher collection percentage, which is good. We know our valuation went up in the pink, as well as the inside millage in the blue, so we are going to see a little bit there. So we are trending more favorably at this point for the blue and the pink property or taxes that we have coming to us. Now, we don't have any boxes highlighted in September, October, November, December. The next one highlighted is January for the blue, row 1. So we are, we've received all we, have for the first half of the year as far as property taxes go, and we don't start receiving it until come January as advances come to us. And that's going to be for tax year 2019. So we've collected all we've collected for tax year 2018 at this point. So we do know that it's 96.7% collection rate. That rate will change once we hop over to 2019's tax year and start collecting that in the beginning of 2020's year. But again, I just wanted to show everybody, significant interaction that happened in the general fund for the month of August. Now, along with the taxes that we receive from the county, we also have fees on those taxes. So on the next spreadsheet we have would be our purple other objects as of August 31st, 2019. And if we look at row 11, we can see $64,023, and that's the expense. Both Lindy and Maria, you have all the sheets printed out, so it's
Yeah, which one is it?
T2M, I'm sorry.
Like, there's no purple on this one.
Yep, T2,
Okay.
and that'll be our other objects. So when we receive our property taxes, we get them as advances, and the last payments are
There it is.
net distribution payment. So with that last payment of our property taxes, and we have it twice a year, the county takes their auditor and treasurer fees along with it. So for the first half of our fiscal year, that cost is $64,023. Now, we have another cost coming to the second half of the year, which is going to be a little bit higher. Think of this as 48%, then we'll have 52% coming to us. So, I just wanted everybody to see the large expense that comes, with our property taxes. So we see it in the county auditor and treasurer fees here, and the revenue would be coming in our tax side that we have. So, but again, this only happens, the expense, twice a year that we'll see. The last sheet is our large white sheet that we have, the 11 by 17. It's our fiscal 20 budget versus actual. And I just wanted to point out the general fund, the very top line that we have. So we have our beginning cash in column B. That's our $13,870,633, which traces to our lead sheet that we have. If we look at E, F, G, H, and I, those are the different amendments that we have for our estimates of revenue. And we give those to the county. So if we look at column I, this is going to be the most updated adjustment that we have that we're going to send to the county. And it's amendment number 4 for us. And for the general fund, we're raising that amount from what it was in column H at $15,682,486 to $15,684,786. And if we look at the letter next to it, A, and we go all the way down the column, A down below has the notes, and it says the increase is $2,300 due to the advances in that we have. And we didn't originally have those advances in for our 5-year forecast, so I wanted to keep everything along the 5-year forecast, and that's what we're seeing the increase for the estimate revenue. If we go to K, L, and M, those columns, we can see our appropriations, and we can see the temporary, what it was, the next amendment, number 1, which is our original permanent appropriations that we have, which was board approved. If we look all the way towards the bottom of that, column 8/21/2019 on resolution 67-2019. Now, if we go to column M, that's what we're looking to approve tonight, the 9/18/2019 appropriations. We have 2 highlighted adjustments. So we have the general fund at the very top, going from $16,664,983 to $16,875,269. And that traces to our lead sheet in the yellow that we have. And if we look at the right to that number, the letter A, and we go down the column, it tells us what the increase is. So we have 2 amounts that make up that increase. $164,000 of it is because we are paying the full amount off on the HB 264 debt. We had appropriated $86,000 of that, but now since we're paying $250,000, that difference of $164,000 we're adding to our appropriations, as well as the $46,000 estimate for Aaron Graham Consulting. So if you add the $46,000 plus the $164,000, that gives us our $210,000 increase for appropriations for the general fund. Our ending cash in O is $16,934,000, which traces to our lead sheets off by $2 for rounding. And I'm going to call it like red color for the month of August. So just wanted everybody to kind of see how, the changes that we have flow through for our budget versus actuals for the month of August for the general fund. If there are no questions, I'll move on to the next item that we have. Nothing big to point out for our new vendors or donations, but we thank all the family members and community members who donated. D6D is the modification to the permanent appropriations, and again, for 1 and 2 here, 1 is the increase of $210,286 for the general fund, and that was because of the 2 changes that we had. Number 2 is we have a reduction of $325 for Title III, Limited English Proficiency, which is Fund 551. The reason why we're reducing that is at the last board meeting in August 21st, we had signed to join the consortium with ESC of Northeast Ohio to be the pass-through or the one monitoring those funds. So they're going to be the ones that initiate everything for those grant funds, so they'll get them initially, and then we recoup after the fact. So we're reducing our appropriations because we don't have to. So they're going to account for the grant funds. The transfers for 6E that we have, we're transferring $250,215.86 from the general fund to the 3 fund, and this is to pay the full and complete amount off of our HB 264 lease. We're anticipating we're going to send that payment to them in early October, so that'll be on our books for October. Verify that with PNC, so I think everybody saw the corresponding email that went along with that, so good there. And that'll pay off all of our debts, so we will not have any more debt with HB 264 for us. 6F, what we have, that's the motion to establish the Student Wellness and Success Fund. So this is Governor DeWine's new item that he had, and for us, we're going to receive a portion of revenue for that. I think it's going to be about $130,000. I don't have it in front of me offhand. But one thing I wanted to do was have this be recognized as a motion on our board minutes. We don't have to, and I communicated with the Auditor of State's Office. I think everybody was able to read that email too. But they recommend that as a best practice, which I agree with too. So whenever we have a new fund that we're establishing, bring it through board approval, so the board recognizes this is a new fund. So we're going to start to see expenses coming out. We're going to have to appropriate amounts for that, and we're going to see the revenue coming in for that. So, and that's everything I have as far as recommendations go.
Okay, any more discussion on the treasurer's consent agenda? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mr. Souchaki.
Aye.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Mr. Naaman.
Aye.
Mrs. Schuster.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Treasurer's discussion/comments.
Just had a couple items tonight to discuss. The first is the 5-year forecast. So we have a change on when the 5-year forecast is to be submitted. So I not only double checked, but I triple checked. So I checked with ODE and I also checked with the Auditor of State's Office, only because this is such an important document to us to be able to go through it with the board, with the BEST committee that we have, as well as submitting it to ODE. So it's our entire plan that we have, it's our roadmap district. So just want to make sure triple check and getting it right. So it has been moved back from October 31st to November 30th. So just wanted to throw it out there on when you want to talk about this. I could have it ready for the board to discuss at a work session the first meeting of November, so November 6th. So if the board would like, and Mr. Evans, we could discuss the 5-year forecast at a work session, which leaves the second board meeting in November free to just kind of approve it for what we have. So we can spend a good amount of time, maybe if we want to do that in November.
I guess also, does it make sense to have it, well, it's a finance committee meeting, but I have to, process of scheduling that, so should I schedule that time to be more in October to do it, or should we do it?
I would do the finance in October, and then we could follow up with and I would recommend doing that at a work session, because again, I want to get to that format where we kind of sit around the table and we can really go through the nuts and bolts of the 5-year forecast, as much as we know that once we get beyond like a second year, a lot of it's wishing and hoping and dreaming, but we still have to go through the process, so.
Okay.
Yeah, end of October or first week of November, could be.
But you want to do the first, that's right.
Yeah.
So probably towards the
End of October.
3rd, 4th week of October, probably.
Great.
Yeah. And then so we'll have that from the Finance Committee, and then it sounds like the work session for November 6th, we can discuss the forecast. Then we would board approve it November 20th. And then at the November 14th BEST Committee meeting, they have us on the agenda to discuss the 5-year forecast. So then Finance Committee, late October, work session for the board November 6th, BEST Committee November 14th, and then ultimate approval for the board November 20th.
It's a lot of 5-year forecast.
Yeah, it's a lot. All right, next discussion. So, as we're moving through with our upcoming renovation project, I discussed this with Mr. Evans, and I'll just kind of read this down here. This discussion revolves around helping us, plan for it, and we would look to invite to a work session the school finance team from Enos Britton, which is our legal counsel, as well as GPD Group's education team, which has experience with bond issues. So the goal would be that both of these entities would come in, they're experts in their fields, and just provide us more in-depth guidance on, how we would fund the potential upcoming renovation project that we have.
Would this be part of a work session meeting, or would this be a special meeting, like in addition to?
It could, as we get closer, once we know what the numbers, we can determine how we want to do that. We could do it at a work session. I would think that you'd want to dedicate the whole work session to that topic and not have, because I could easily see this taking a couple hours to, we will have gone through the numbers at the next work session. So this will be down the road somewhere, so we know kind of what the numbers are. And this is going to be Enos Britton talking to us about different options on levies and what we can do. As Matt said, GPD has bond counsel, and they will assist us with that if that's the route that we want to go, and they will also talk to us about, and I know, Matt's got some feelings on that as well, and so we can just kind of lay it all out and figure out then which direction we want to push in, so.
I'm just thinking, we seem to have so much on each meeting, so calling a special meeting for something like this.
Well within the possibilities of what we're doing, yeah.
Okay.
If we want to just say, okay, let's pick a weeknight and just, maybe we start at 6,
Yeah.
or whatever, and give it a good couple hours to really kind of hear some things out and be able to ask some questions, because some of the levy possibilities are new, and when we talked about the combination levy, nobody's thrown that on the ballot yet, and I haven't looked at all around the state yet for November, and I don't, but when we talked to John, and John Burns is pretty well connected around the state of Ohio, they have offices in Cincinnati, so he hadn't heard of anybody, he knew it existed, but he hadn't heard of anybody running up the flagpole and seeing what it would do, so I think we've got some time to see how people try to sell that, because it's, if we're one of the initial ones out of the block, it's going to be a little different approach to how we're going to deliver that, or if it's a bond issue again too, just what that entails, so.
Yeah, I agree with Lindy that may be appropriate for a special meeting.
That's fine.
Just for timing and scheduling as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not something we want to rush through.
No, not at all.
Correct.
I think you want to deal with it, because I think, while you want those groups here, at some point, I think you want to kind of kick them out of the room and then have a discussion amongst yourselves about, what do we feel about it?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And then last item I would have for discussion is just confirming with everybody the OSBA Capital Conference hotel reservations. Hopefully everybody here got an email from OSBA. I see everybody nodding their heads, nobody's shaking it, so everybody got it. Okay. Awesome. So all that is an acknowledgement email from OSBA. The hotels, they're doing it through passkey, the portal passkey. What happens is in October, I think October 18th, from what they told me, is when the hotels will then officially book the rooms. And then they will send emails out. So we'll get an email from Renaissance Hotel to everybody individually saying that here is your room number when you stay in November. So everything's been booked through OSBA's portal. The way that they have it set up is this is an acknowledgement of it, and we'll get the official email from the hotel. And if we don't, I'll give them a call just to make sure everything goes through. So I'm watching this like an eagle, actually. Yes, so when that time comes around, middle October, I'll make sure we get it, but we will see another email coming from the Renaissance saying that, yes, here is your room that you have booked. So, and that's all I have for tonight.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ruchu. Giving it over to Mr. Superintendent.
Okay, 9, Superintendent's Business, 9A, approved purchase orders of over $5,000. 9B, approved resolution and non-public school transportation request for 2019 and 20. Motion to approve the resolution and list non-public transportation requests for 2019-20, authorizing payment in lieu of transportation when transportation is impractical according to the amount stipulated annually by the Ohio Department of Education. C, approve athletic event fee schedule for 2019 and 20. Motion to approve the attached athletic event schedule effective with 2019-20. D, approve overnight travel for teams and athletes who qualify for regional and state championships. Motion to approve overnight travel for teams or athletes who qualify for regional and state championships, if applicable for the 2019-20 school year, contingent upon completion of the overnight trip form upon qualification of the athletes by the date specified on the playoff schedule. In E, motion to authorize the superintendent to sign contracts with OHSA to be the home site and hire workers for terms if selected. 10, staff resignations. A, motion to accept the retirement of Neil Peterson, maintenance supervisor, effective at the close of the day December 31st after 35 years of service for the Cuyahoga Heights Schools. B, motion to accept retirement of custodian. Motion to accept the retirement of Dave Domzalski as custodian, effective at the close of the day on December 31st, 2019, after 17 years of service to the Cuyahoga Heights Schools. And C, motion to accept the resignation of cafeteria staff employee. Motion to accept the resignation of Laura Conte as cafeteria staff employee, effective at the close of the day, November 1st, 2019. Jump down to 13, employment of supplemental positions. 13A, motion to approve the listed individuals on supplemental contracts and the stipulated positions for the 2019-20 school year per the adopted wage schedule, contingent upon successful completion of BCI, FBI fingerprint checks and proper certification if applicable. 14A, motion to approve the attached substitute teacher list for 2019-20 is updated on September 7, 2019 by the Educational Service Center of Cuyahoga County. It's actually Northeast Ohio. B, motion to approve the listed individuals as substitutes on the as-needed staff and stipulated positions for 2019-20 school year per the adopted wage schedule, contingent upon successful completion of BCI fingerprint background checks if applicable. C, approve employment, motion to approve employment of the attached list of as-needed pool staff for 2019-20 school year, contingent upon BCI FBI fingerprint and proper certification. And D, employment of long-term substitute. Motion to approve employment of Aaron Zink as long-term substitute for high school, middle school library assistant at the substitute teacher rate effective October 3rd, 2019. 15, agreements, contracts, and memberships. 15A, motion to approve the attached revised bus route schedule for 2019-20 school year. B, motion to adopt, motion to approve the attached memorandum of understanding with Cuyahoga Heights Association of Teachers relating to Article 9, Section F, long-term substitute of the negotiated agreement effective September 18th, 2019. C, motion to approve the agreement with Power for Schools for the purchase of electricity for the school district per the attached contract. D, motion to approve facility rental agreement for the use of the Museum of Contemporary Art as the venue for the 2020 prom on May 23rd, 2020 at a cost of $4,500. E, motion to approve communications agreement with Aaron Graham Consulting per the attached agreement effective September 19th through July 2020 at a cost of $43,750. F, motion to approve attached agreement with the Cleveland Music Group for providing music for the homecoming dance on September 28th, 2019 at a cost of $800. G, motion to approve attached school tours contract for elementary field trip to Luther's Farm Market in Richfield on October 2nd, 2019. H, motion to approve contract with Independence Local Schools for admission of students residing in the Cuyahoga Heights School District for educational purposes for 2019-20 school year at a cost equal to the tuition as calculated pursuant to ORC Section 3317.08 and 3327.04. I, motion to approve overnight trip for the state track meet. Motion to approve the contract, motion to approve the attached agreement for lodging for overnight trip for the state track meet to be held at Columbus, June 4th and 5th. Ask that those
Great
items be
job.
approved.
Can I have a motion to approve the superintendent's business consent agenda motions?
So moved.
Oh, that was like a triple.
Yeah, whichever.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Suchaki. Can I have a second?
A second.
Seconded by Mr. Naaman. Discussion.
Purchase order is over $5,000. You see one of the Stoller's, the elementary school fundraiser, AP exams, and OSBA. That's for board docs. We actually don't pay board docs because that's a contract negotiated with OSBA. We actually pay OSBA for that, for the cost of that. And I think that's probably about a $4,000 savings on that OSBA negotiates that contract for us. The athletic fee schedule, by policy, we need to approve it at the athletic fee schedule. Some of those things are maybe subject to change. I would ask Mr. Kelber to take a look at what we charge teams for some of the different invitationals we run, the George Gross, the Cuyahoga Relays, the Wrestling Invitational, to make sure that we're in line with what other districts are charging. Sometimes if you let those go for a couple of years, you kind of fall behind, and you want to make sure that you're bringing in the amount of money that you said you were going to bring in. So that's just, they also, I think the new thing there is they wanted to offer an all-season pass for $100 for all the athletic events. So that's kind of new to the list. That's Mr. Kelber's baby, and I think he figured out before we added a couple more events to the list that was going to be about, if you went to 90% of the events, that was going to be about a $70 savings for you overall. So.
Mr. Evans, I had one comment on this. I think there's been past discussion about where we have the cutoff for a senior. And I wonder if maybe some kind of an asterisk or footnote on this to explain who is and isn't a senior might be helpful.
Okay.
Just a suggestion.
Okay, very good. We'll go through and define that then. Overnight trips for state competitions. We know that sometimes we don't know until the week before. The coaches really do a good job of scheduling rooms because all the state competitions are, it's tough to get rooms. And you already see Coach Schaefer's on here for spring, and he's made sure he's got his cancellation dates in there. But every year we have anywhere from 4 to 10 or 12 athletes at the state track meet. So Coach Schaefer likes the hotel he's in. He's already gone through it. He's getting all that out of the way now. And I know that for some of the individual events, they'll do that, like the wrestling, because rooms are at a premium for wrestling. And actually, wrestling and girls basketball is going to be the same weekend at Ohio State this year, because they're doing one in St. John's and one at the arena. So it'll be that much tighter on rooms in Columbus. So this is just to be able to, so we can make those arrangements without bringing it before the board, because we know we end up with short time on that. Right. And then authorizing me to be able to sign with OHSAA for us to be the home site should we be selected for home games, and that's based on how the seats work out. So traditionally we've hosted a lot of events here. So and Northeast District Board knows that we're willing to host other events too. Like I told them if the sectional track meet or sectional wrestling tournament ever became available, we take that. We host the district track meet. If there's any other the larger meets, the Northeast District Board knows that we're willing to be a host here at Cuyahoga Heights. Staff resignations. Accept the retirement of Neil Peterson, maintenance supervisor after 35 years of the district. Neil's been threatening since I walked in the doors in 2010 to retire. I told him until I saw it in writing I wasn't going to leave him, and now he gave it to me in writing. So it's for real. Except Dave Dave's been here 17 years. Dave told me that when he couldn't do his job anymore that he would stop, and I know that he's having some physical difficulties, and Dave's chosen to go, and then Laura Conte in the cafeteria as well. Supplemental contracts that we have listed there this time was detention supervisor, Saturday school, middle school, high school enrichment advisor, middle school, high school academic intervention, resident educator coordinator, resident educator mentors, and then course of study writing for some project lead the way stuff, so some various people there. We do a lot of intervention, so some of those are on an as-needed basis as we go through the year. The substitute teacher list from the ESC. Classified on a substitute need list too. We have subs for secretarial positions and different positions throughout the building should we need somebody, so that list is in there to be approved. Assistant pool managers and pool lifeguards. Neil was just in discussing with me today when we're going to get the pool up and running. I said we've always got it headed open by October 1st, and I'm sure that Mr. Sachaki was going to ask me when we're going to get going on the pool. So he went right down to Mr. Calvert, and they're working on the pool opening. And one of the difficulties now is that with the loss of Neil, we lose someone that's also certified in the pool. So we're gonna, when we bring the new supervisor on, we're gonna have to make sure that we get some backup to because right now I think that only leaves us Matt Berger, somebody that has pool certification with the chemicals, and that's very critical for us moving forward. And improvement of the long-term substitute for the middle school, high school library assistant. Erin's going to fill in for Mrs. Doherty while she's out on maternity leave. Agreements and membership, we've had to revise some bus routes. And I think after the discussion today, we may end up revising one and another one, so you may see another revision on next month. MOU with chat relating employment of long-term sub. That's a long-term sub just moving from BA 0 to Master 0 because that's consistent with what we did. We wrote into it that's not binding, so this will be a topic of discussion in negotiations this spring. I'll look to put something a little more concrete so we don't have this gray area moving forward again based on somebody's education on the sub. Improvement with Master Electric Energy Sales Agreement, that's the Power for Schools Agreement that the OSC has negotiated. I want to publicly thank Beth Polk. Beth spent a lot of time meeting with Matt, myself, Mrs. Martin, looking at our bills, and her company's Engie, and that's who the OSC signed with. And actually, once the OSC signed with Engie, she could no longer talk to us because we're an OSC member. So she kind of gave us all the background and a lot of legwork for us and point us in the right direction. And now OSC kind of swept in, and it's going to be it looks to be a pretty fair amount of savings on the contract moving forward. So we're happy about that.
The Career Center's also going with
Yeah,
same
I think we're going to see more and more people kind of jump into OSC on some of these fuel and energy agreements moving forward. Just to approve the prom rental facility for the Museum of Contemporary Art. Communications contract with Aaron Graham. Aaron was here previously and talked to the board, presented to the board, and this will bring Aaron on board. And I told him with us receiving the anniversary report card, I think we're going to have her hit the ground running with some work to do. Approve agreement with the Cleveland Music Group. That's music for the homecoming dance. School tours. The elementary kids are going to go down to Luther's Farm Market, so that's in there. Contract with independent schools. Independent still servicing 3 of our special needs students. We've done that for years with them. And actually, those are students that have been in independence for, I think the youngest was an 8th grader. What's that? Okay, and so actually when those students cycle through, we'll probably be done with independence because now with our resource rooms, we would absorb those kids ourselves. When we opened our resource rooms, we told people we weren't going to bring them, we weren't going to force them to bring their children back here, that if they were in a good situation, that we would see that through for them. But they could, if they wanted to, then bring them back to ICE as well. So there's 3 of them that are at Independence, and we'll finish it out over there with Independence on that. And then, as Coach Schaefer put in there, the agreement for the state track meet, June 4th through 5th, and Coach Schaefer is very meticulous about this because he sent the contract back to them 3 times for them to revise some things and update some things, and he wanted to make sure the cancellation date was correct in there based on the number of qualifiers that he might have. So he must have been in my office like 5 times in one day. I said, John, really, you can just wait till you got it done tonight. He noticed it's all nervous. We'll make sure we get it on up to date. So that's my business for approval.
Okay. Any other discussion on the superintendent's?
So on the communications contract, is that going to be paid monthly? How's that going to be?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Like, kind of like we do with Jim's Whistler. Jim turns his hours in, although Jim's hourly, he kind of pays that on a monthly basis, turns in the time sheet for us, and then we go from there.
And if things didn't work out, we would have a caveat to
There's a separation clause in there.
Okay.
I just want to take 1 minute and thank Mr. Peterson for his years of outstanding service, and our buildings are in very good condition, I think, through he and his staff's very noble efforts. So thanks to Neil. Best wishes in his retirement.
It's a major change.
And Neil learned from Ricky Baycheck, and you know, I think if I gave Neil a roll of baling twine and a spool of duct tape, that he could fix just about anything in the district, because he has over the years. And you know, like I said, Rick was just in for Grand Friends Day, and the leadership that we've had in our maintenance department for 40-plus years has been fantastic. Everybody that comes into the building from the outside comments about what a beautiful building it is and what great shape it's in. Kudos to Neil. I know when a couple of years ago we looked at replacing an elementary elevator, the guy looked at that elevator shaft, he goes, I've never seen an elevator this age maintained as well as this elevator ever. It was we're talking about putting a new one in and having to replace the guy. Really, and Neil was like, starting, I think last time we had to buy parts, we bought them from California, because the elevator's so old, and the guy goes, if you can still get parts for it, don't replace it. Just keep shipping out to California to get the parts, because really, he goes, the inner workings of your elevator are just in phenomenal shape, so I'll probably break down tomorrow because I made that statement, probably, yeah, well-deserved, well-earned for Neil, so.
Okay, so roll call on.
Mr. Souchaki?
Aye.
Mr. Naaman?
Aye.
Mrs. Etter?
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins?
Aye.
Mrs. Schubert?
Aye, motion passes 5-0. Superintendent's comments.
GPD will be at the next work session, and we'll go through page by page and break the numbers down with them for all the areas, same way we did Matt and Ted and I did down in their offices, so we'll go through it, and then we'll have some discussion once we get through all that. Best will be on September 25th. We had a lockdown drill today, all 3 villages participated. The police and fire chiefs kind of reached out to Valley View and Brooklyn Heights, and they were here on site too. So I think some of the safety forces that hadn't seen our lockdown drill before saw today. I will tell you, the ball sticks that we bought last year with grant money do an excellent job in the elementary building. We'll look to find some more grant money to purchase those, to put them throughout maybe this building as well. They do a great job of securing the doors, and we really almost to the point where, because of the way it secures things now, that it's almost too secure in the pod area, because if we lock the pod doors and then the kids are going into different rooms locked, they're almost double locked in the area, so it's hard to get in to release them from the lockdown, because we can't get to the outside
So
doors.
you use the bolo sticks in the lockdown drill?
Yes, yeah. Everything gets practiced, and the kids are phenomenal, so. If you don't follow on Twitter, you missed the one school, one book kickoff in the elementary building. The superintendent took himself to a new low, put a little blow-up dino outfit on and danced for the kids, and it was, I see it's all over the internet, and I'm sure the next time I have a superintendent's meeting, I'm going to catch endless razzing about it. So I said, there's nothing I won't do to get our kids to read some more. So it was a great, well done by Mrs. Bergen and Mrs. Houchin. We are the Fox 8 game of the week this week. Get online and vote.
Oh.
And with Kirtland, so last time I checked, we were up about 400 votes on them, so do it the Chicago way, vote and vote often, because you can.
That's right.
It doesn't lock you out, but that's a good thing for us, and of course, that's turned into a great rivalry for us. State report card, we saw the AA sent that out. We're very excited about that. That's a snapshot of what we do here. We think we do a lot of things real well, but that's nice. Dr. Claris will break down that for us at the next work session, and go through some of the numbers for you and show you where we've kind of increased some things and where we still need to do some work. And Athletic Hall of Fame took place last week. One note on that, Matt mentioned the donations. Just a reminder that when I took the Hall of Fame over in 2010, Mr. Guerrero handed me the keys to the car and said, oh, by the way, I'm not giving you gas money. You got to fund this thing yourself. So we don't use any district funds for the Athletic Hall of Fame. All that is money generated through donations, mostly by the Hall of Fame members that have donated to that. So the last 10 years, the Athletic Hall of Fame has been self-sustaining. So we want to thank all those people that donate and have become sponsors for that event. It's a great event. It was very well attended, and it's just great to see some of those people come back and get recognized. So, Mr. Durazio had the football team from '94, Cuyahoga Heights, his first football playoff team, was back Friday. The recognition got cut short because of the rain out on the lightning out on the game, but it was great to see some old faces there too. A lot of stories. The older we get, the better we were. No question about that. It was a good, fun night by all. So.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Moving on to board business resolutions. So we're 18A, motion to approve the attendance at professional conferences. We have all 5 board members and Mr. Muccio at the All Boards Dinner held at the CVCC on October 24th, 2019, from 5 to 8 at no cost. And Mr. Muccio, the SERB Advanced Negotiation Seminar in Columbus, I should say, November 4th from 9 to 3:30 at $50. 18B, we're skipping, or we deleted, so 18C, resolved that the board authorizes an amendment to the contract of the treasurer CFO effective August 1st, 2019, and authorizes and directs the board president to execute a contract addendum on behalf of the board with Mr. Muccio on such terms and conditions as have been agreed upon by the parties. And D, hold on, I don't think my clicker clicked.
Well, if you refreshed, it's showing as B and C because I pulled the other one off.
Oh, you
so-
did?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
I didn't
apologize.
refresh. Sorry,
Should have
guys.
told people so.
Do I have to log out and log back in?
No, you should.
Hold on, guys.
Oh, shoot. I did that.
I have to
That's
rejoin
pretty
the
bad.
meeting. I forgot to refresh. Okay. All right, so C, 18C. Resolve that the board appoints Mr. Muccio as treasurer for the period beginning August 1st, 2020 and ending July 31st, 2025, and authorizes and directs the board president to execute a contract on behalf of the board with Mr. Muccio on such terms and conditions as have been agreed upon by the parties. Do I go right into the board policy also? Don't I usually do the agenda, or never mind, I'll go right into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on 19A, policy 1310, motion to adopt policy 1310, appointment of the treasurer as reviewed on September 4th, 2019. 19B, motion to adopt policy 1340, non-reemployment of the treasurer as reviewed on September 4th, 2019. 19C, motion to adopt policy 5113.02, school choice options as reviewed on September 4th, 2019. 19D, motion to adopt policy 5230, late arrival and early dismissal as reviewed on September 4th, 2019. 19E, motion to adopt policy 5350, student mental health and suicide as reviewed on September 4th, 2019. Can I have a motion to approve the board business consent agenda motions?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Etter,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Naaman. Any discussion?
Board policies are all legal updates to legislation, so there's really nothing.
Okay, hearing none, roll call. Oh, I'm sorry.
No changes to what we currently had as far as, referencing, so.
I would just like to add something. I just want to thank the board for the contract. I feel it's a great partnership between the board and myself and the administration. And I couldn't thank the people working here. It's all about the people. It's a joy to come to work every day and work your hardest for everybody here. So I want to thank the people. It's a great staff and great community that we have here. So love to keep it all rolling.
And we're happy to have you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? Hearing nothing. Mr. Muccio for the roll call, please.
Mrs. Etter.
Aye.
Mr. Naaman.
Aye.
Mr. Suchaki.
Aye.
Mr. Dobbins.
Aye.
Mr. Schukert.
Aye, motion is approved 5-0. Possible discussion items? Anything?
Not for me.
Okay. Moving to board committee reports, comments, Mr. Naaman.
Just actually, congratulations to the district and everyone involved with the A grade that we got on the Ohio report card. That's quite an accomplishment. Only 1 out of 31 school districts, so congratulations to everybody. The other thing is I'll just get the finance committee meeting scheduled and probably towards the end of October like we discussed. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mrs. Utter?
I too am very excited about our report card grade, and I think this is something that we need to make sure that everybody in our district knows about, because, this is an accomplishment that doesn't happen every day. It doesn't happen every place, but it happened here. And it was evident with so many of the recognition of our AP scholars this evening, and even from just what we learned about our students of the month. I think we can see that things are going in the right direction here, and I'm happy to be part of this. Looks to see that we're going to another professional development with our staff coming up. That looks good too. And alumni weekend this weekend, so I hope all our alumni celebrate, and like you said, it'll be better than they used to be, right? And also like to recognize again and appreciate the work that Mr. Muccio does for us. And more specifically, just your explanation and keeping it clear and keeping it in a way that we can understand and keeping our books, accurate, and very, very appreciative of that. And I'm glad that you want to stick around here for a few years, at least.
Good.
I think I'm done.
Okay.
Mr. Souchaki.
Our A rating puts us as the only one of the CVCC partner school districts at an A. All the others, most of the others are Bs. There's
Even
one
Brexit?
that's a little lower than that. The CVCC itself was rated a B this year, which is up from a C last year. But I just heard this morning from the superintendent that he's gotten a call from the state, and it looks like that's going to be raised, which is interesting. I don't know how they...
Because Polaris is one of the few, there's only 4 A's in the career centers throughout the state.
Right, so we may become the 5th. We're not, waiting for word, but the state has indicated that for whatever reason, and I don't know how they're solving, none of us know what criteria they really use, and I kind of understand that.
And the career tech is even foggier.
Yeah.
It's
You kind of understand that because you don't want the districts to be say, okay, they're going to measure me on this, so I'm only going to work on this stuff, right? So you understand that they might want to keep some of those details a little bit under wraps, but we have no idea why we moved from a B to an A. Some districts, as you may have noticed, with numbers higher than ours are still rated B, so.
Well, Brexel, for the second year in a row, hit all their indicators and it got a B.
Yeah. So it's really hard to tell the difference at that line. But anyhow, CVCC may very well move up to an A. I also, this morning was our agenda meeting. After the agenda meeting, it's my habit to go back to the school, and I spent an hour or two circulating the school, talking to staff members, teachers, trying to meet some of the students. Today I concentrated on the LPN program. I have not been in the health careers area, have not spent much time there. It's really interesting. It used to be the Parma Training Center, Parma Health Care Center, and then when Parma apparently had too many students back in the 80s, they ran out of space, and they gave it to the Career Center. So it kind of functions a little bit almost as its own little school. They've had a number of people coming back doing second careers in their 50s, getting trained in those schools, and they're really very proud of that, of what they accomplish. They, like us, have the names, pictures of all their graduates on the walls. Unfortunately, they ran out of room, at which point I suggested they start using the hallways instead of just the office area. Go pick those up, do what we've done here. But it was very, very interesting. It is a big part, and I think I mentioned last month, it's a big part of the adult education program. It does run 24 hours, it runs day and night, so they have two. It appears that the expenses are down because one of the longtime veterans has just retired, but income is also down. So hopefully we'll be able to keep the adult education running in the black for this year, because they're like 60%, 70% of the income. So, but anyhow, that was a very, very interesting tour, and I was happy I had the time to do it. And that's about all I have. And our meeting is next week, so I'll give you the report on our meeting at our next meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Robbins.
I just have one thing. I accompanied Mr. Evans, not accompanied, but I was with Mr. Evans at the recent Hall of Fame induction. It was a very enjoyable session. Thanks. That's it.
Wow, Mr. Robbins. I just had a couple notes. Congrats to Neil, Dave, and Laura on retirement, and best wishes. That's exciting for them. Muccio, congrats on another contract.
Thank you.
Again, I echo what Mrs. Etter is saying. It is so refreshing and healthy, and it just feels good to have somebody in your seat speaking realistically, knowledgeably, or full of knowledge. I don't even know, it's late and I'm tired. It just is really comforting, and I think, what Mrs. Utter said too is, we're still learning, or at least I'll speak for myself, I'm still learning about bits and pieces, and you put it in words that are understandable, color-coded. It's great to have you as part of the team. And then also welcome to Aaron Graham Consulting Company. I'm excited to get all of these wonderful things out and to see what she could do to help continue moving our district forward. All right, possible future agenda items. If you have any ideas.
The next work session will be Dr. Claris with the report card and GPD, so I'm going to keep it to those two because I think there's a lot to, you want to get elbow deep in all that stuff, so.
And I have, because I get stuff too with the report card, and I know it's almost like a foreign language, but there's a guy that's on ODE that I'm sure Ted could probably stand up here and teach us, but I was going to forward it. I did an electronic scan of it and forward it to you guys. It's just interesting to take a look at. It helps kind of go through, so maybe it'll help when we hear it. Ooh, okay.
On a Friday before.
Okay.
You can have a chance to look at it before.
Okay.
Good.
I know it clears up some of it, some of the mystery. Some.
Wherever they get these grades, I don't know.
And there is legislation now to change the report card again too, so
It'll be right when we understand
well,
it. Then it'll
just by
change.
the time we figure it out, they'll change it again. And actually, that was somebody picked up Representative Duffy's recommendations, which I attended in somehow, I don't know why, I was the only superintendent that went to the thing. It was down in Brunswick, and I thought he made a lot of sense, but he term limited out, but somebody else took his legislation, and picked up the ball, kind of ran with it a little bit, so I think there's some good things there. The woman that he had is not an education person, she's a statistics person, she's a numbers person, and it was like one of Matt's reports that just made perfect sense as to why you would want to go to the numbers versus the letter grades. It just does, so we'll see. A lot going on in Columbus right now. I'll be down Monday for a finance meeting with BASA, because I know there's some huge financial concerns with the wellness money is wonderful, but Cleveland got $6 million in wellness money and then lost $7 million with a line item that went in the budget that increased money flow to the charter. So they actually lost $1 million in the state budget this time, as did some other very big districts too that lose charter money. We don't lose charter money, thankfully, but so we'll see where that goes.
Do we know what we're going to do with that money from the state?
Yeah, we'll have a meeting we've got a meeting coming up at the ESC. We've got some real solid ideas that I can see a lot of that going to our social emotional support, and we can actually use that to supplant, so we can actually offset the salary of our social worker with those funds.
Yeah.
But I think there's some programming we're looking at too that we can pick up the funding on that too.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, they won't take the money away,
No.
will they? Okay.
No.
I mean, and I say that in a way like, you have to earmark it for X, Y, Z, or you don't get it.
No, they were very clear this time, because quite honestly, you usually can't supplant existing programs with grant money. That's kind of the rule with the state's grant money, and which would have hurt us because we already have a social worker in place, and a lot of districts are trying to add social workers to it. So Governor DeWine was very, very explicit about that you can use it to offset the costs if you have existing programs already. And you got to work through one of the public entities. We're going to work through the ESC, although we don't have to funnel any funds to the ESC. It's just a matter of, which is perfect because our social workers hired through the ESC. So it makes sense for us to do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was in the budget bill, so that money's at least why Governor DeWine's there, and he's made it clear that that's going to be one of his ongoing initiatives. So.
It's good because there's a lot of emotional and issues and that go on with the students these days, and they need to be addressed. So this is good.
Okay, moving on to 24 informational items. A, it should be noted that the Board of Education members received their agendas several days prior to the actual meeting. Thus, they have had considerable opportunity to study it, ask questions, etc. Upcoming regular board meetings, they're all going to be here in the library. Wednesdays at 7 p.m., October 9th, October 23rd, November 6th, November 20th, and December 11th of 2019. At this point, I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting. Can I have a second?
Second?
Motion made by Mrs. Schuker, seconded by Mr. Dobbins. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. It's 9:28 PM.